liberty and justice for all.
Very much. And as usual, I'll read the Council of State Ethics Awareness and Conflict of Interest reminder. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it's the duty of every council member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearances of conflict. If any council member has any known conflict of interest or is aware of facts that might create the appearance of such conflict with respect to any matters coming before the council today, please identify the conflict or the facts that might create the appearance of a conflict to ensure that any inappropriate participation in that matter may be avoided. If at any time any new matter raises a conflict during the meeting, please identify it at that time. All right, you have received the minutes from the April 5th, 2022 meeting and have had an opportunity to review them. Do I have a motion for approval? Treasurer moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Lieutenant Governor. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The minutes from the April 5th, 2022 meeting are adopted. Treasurer Falwell, interest matters.
Thank you, Governor. The short-term stiff interest fund, the annualized return for the month was 0.35. That's 1/3 of 1%. Also, two other matters, Governor. We just issued the latest tranche of the Build NC bonds at 3.26%. By the way, in 2020, we issued that same bond for 1.5%. So the interest rate on the Build NC bonds have doubled over the last year. But the good news is that we are scheduled over an 8-year period for state debt to fall 60%, 60, and that's a credit to the taxpayers of our state and the discipline of our state government. That's the interest report.
Thanks to you and your office for working so closely with DOT, with the Office of State Budget on the Build NC bonds. Appreciate that. Has Commissioner Causey joined us yet via phone? Commissioner Causey?
Yes, can you hear me, Governor?
We can, Commissioner. I'm going to turn fire insurance matters to you, sir.
Thank you, Governor. On page 1 is the balance for the State Property Fire Insurance Fund is $34.6 million as of April 30th. And on page 2, there are 5 urgent claims that need to be paid. All of those 5 on page 3 are all North Carolina Central University water damage claims, and they're all total in excess of $361,000. Over on page 3, on May is Wildlife Resources Commission Pisgah Forest loss, and the June losses are the NC State Fair Maintenance Building, the Department of Public Safety Correctional Enterprises Simpson Laundry Fire, and Moorhead Ports Terminal. I move that we pay all of these claims.
Commissioner has moved that we pay these fire insurance property loss claims. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by the Secretary of State. Is there further question, discussion, or debate? Hearing none.
Governor, the bottom of page 3 and 4 show the claims that we paid from last time. So thank you.
Okay, got it. Further discussion or debate? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner. We'll now have Board of Transportation right-of-way matters. Heather Fulgham.
Good morning, Council. The Department of Transportation has one item for your consideration. The item was approved by the Secretary of Transportation and the Board of Transportation, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about it.
Any questions for Ms. Fulgham? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Troxler moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the State Auditor.
Governor, thank you. I've asked in the past, maybe it's in here, to give us some indication when we buy or sell anything, specifically sell something, that the we have some idea of what we might have paid for it. Is that in this document?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions, debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Fulton. And I'm sorry, I skipped one. Thank you. I saw you looking at me. The Secretary of State has got the order right, I know. So you're absolutely right. Why is Elaine looking at me? All right, I got it now. All right, now we'll have Heather Horton with the North Carolina Marine Industrial Park matters. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Good morning, Heather Horton from Commerce here on behalf of the Wanchese Marine Park. Coming forward with one item that is the 5-year lease with 2 5-year terms for a boat slip in the Marine Park in which a dredging vessel will be parked there when not in use. And this item was approved at the April 6th meeting of the park.
So questions for Ms. Horton? Is there a discussion or debate? Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval, having gone aground many times in my sailing days. I think this is a good idea. Move approval.
Don't need your Coast Guard credit card these days. Got it. So is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by the Attorney General. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Horton.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We now have State Ports Authority matters by Stephanie Ayers.
Good morning, Governor, members of council. I have one lease item for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from Ms. Ayers about this lease? Any discussion or debate? All right, excuse me. Let me get a motion on the floor.
Question, Governor.
All right, Treasurer Falwell.
Ms. Ayers, as especially in that area as infill space, last mile warehouse space, prices have doubled in that area. And we're seeing this in the investment management division of the Treasurer's Office. What takes place to reevaluate the fair market value of these leases after a year or so after they've been signed?
Yes, sir. So this particular area is a very low-lying area that is prone to flooding, particularly during king tides. So this particular area is well suited for this particular customer because they store and process wood products. But your point is well taken, and we do continue to assess our properties in light of what's happening with the current market value of property.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Treasurer moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Commissioner of Labor. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries, and congratulations to the Port of Wilmington for the great report that it just received, looking at ports not only in this country but around the world. Congratulations on that. Now we've got Tim Walton, State Property Matters. There were some additions and changes that I think you all have received, but Mr. Walton, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. Yes, I do have 3 name changes, or at least status changes. And I will begin on page 16. Item number 7. The grantor is Cane Tuck Farms LLC. It says William T. Barefoot is a registered agent. He's actually a member. To clarify that. He is also a member, I should say. And on page 24, acquisition by lease item number 1. The lessor is Tuttle Forest Foundation. We have Van Griffin as manager. It's actually Griffith, Griffith. On page 32. Item number 6, disposition by easement. The grantee there is listed as Blue Ridge Energy, Inc., and it's actually Blue Ridge Electric Membership Corporation. And then lastly, on page 36, item number 4, we're pulling that from the agenda. This item that you mentioned that we added is actually is on page 28. It was noted in the agenda for you. That'll be in the minutes. Having said all of that, I have 54 items total for your consideration this morning.
Questions for Mr. Walton?
Governor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Governor. Question for Charlie Cruz. When there's an addition to an agenda like this, what do the rules of the Council of State say about that?
We try to, give appropriate notice ahead of time. Our goal is usually to try to send something out the Friday before the meeting on Tuesday to give the 48-hour notification. On occasion, there are emergency type items that we may bring forward at the discretion of the governor and the committee to look at. We met our 48-hour. We found out about the emergency management item late last week, and did our best to get it to you before the weekend in the 48-hour threshold.
Just to follow up, Governor.
Yes, sir.
So that discretion is at the discretion of the governor, who's head of the Council of State, but it's not an opportunity that's available to all members of the Council of State.
I think, the chair of the committees or commissions determine, what ultimately goes on the agenda. Obviously there's a conversation that is had to put this together, and we try to aim to meet people's needs where appropriate.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Bagculture moves approval. Is there a second? Second by the Attorney General. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no.
One no.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll now have our roundtable, and Madam Secretary of State, we'll begin with you.
Thank you. Good morning, Governor. The last time we were together in April, I updated you on the new business creations and talked about our partnership with Moldova, and I want to bring you up to date on both of those. We are on track to meet, maybe slightly exceed what we did in 2021, which was a record year. So at least maybe we're thinking it's plateauing out, but it's plateauing at a level far beyond what I ever thought. Today, we are registering more than 700 new businesses a day. That is an awesome activity. During Small Business Week a month ago, I announced that we would begin expanding an agency initiative called Rural Rise, RISE-NC. RISE stands for Resources for Innovators, Startups, and Entrepreneurs. As we had this increase of new businesses, we thought we needed to survey them and find out what's what, why, and a year later, are they still in business? What would they like to have known? Where did they get their information? All this kind of stuff. So we have over 3,000 survey responses, and we found that very clearly the Secretary of State's in a unique position because we are the primary communications channel to these new businesses. We were the front door last year to 178,300 new businesses, and they are hearing from us first. We started with a pilot project of 14 counties and just finished up the first phase. We're going to expand with the most immediate focus on the rest of the 78 counties considered rural. For years and years and years, decades, we've been sending out when somebody newly incorporates or charters information from revenue, information from employment security, and information about workers' comp. But here's what works with this new initiative. We are doing a customized to each county bulletin that connects them to local, state, and in some cases, federal partners who are specifically geared to help small businesses become successful. In many cases, we're able to give them names and telephone numbers of a person to reach locally because there's a reluctance to call Raleigh and all of those kinds of things out there. So we're including lenders who focus on small and startup businesses, a way to connect with small business counselors and mentors, and a checklist. So many have asked for a checklist of the steps they need to follow. Now, we're not creating any new resources. These are resources that are already available here in North Carolina, like our community college system, SBTDC. But unfortunately, these new entrepreneurs say they don't know about them. They don't know where to go. So we're trying to head them in that way. So we've had some early success. The number of businesses opening the resource bulletin is significantly higher than industry standards, and our providers are already reporting loan applications and calls about counseling and mentoring. So we hope we're on the right pathway. We know from historically that small businesses don't last a quarter of them at the 3-year mark and half of them at the 7-year mark. So we want to improve those odds for all of these new ones that are starting out. Okay, turning to Moldova, today, 10 o'clock this morning, a 40-foot high top container gets moved out of the textbook warehouse, headed to Moldova and Ukraine for the Ukrainian refugees that are there. We've had a strong relationship with the National Guard, and I am eternally, eternally grateful. As we speak, 26,000 pounds of medical supplies and educational materials are being loaded onto a container and headed to a port in Romania and then to be shipped to Moldova. This adds to the more than 100,000 pounds of supplies that have already been shipped. In late April, Congressman Price co-sponsored a House resolution that received overwhelming bipartisan support. The resolution supports Moldova's democracy, independence, and territorial integrity and reaffirms the United States' strategic interest. A bipartisan Senate resolution was introduced just a few weeks ago, commending Moldova for its extraordinary efforts for supporting Ukraine refugees as a result of Russia's unprovoked attack. In a few days, our Adjutant General of the National Guard will be there, along with the National Guard Bureau, General Hokason from DC, to show the United States support for the independence, democracy, and people of Moldova. So I want to give a huge shout out to our National Guard. They are playing an essential role. They have been some of the unsung heroes in Moldova, holding countless training exercises over the last 2+ years, helping pack and deliver humanitarian support. I know that I'm proud of them, Governor. I know you're proud of them, and the whole state needs to be extraordinarily proud of them. This is a partnership that our State Department has said is the best of its kind. It's held up as a model. So North Carolina is just really shining, and I'm pleased. The goodwill and the charity of people around here and institutions around here, because we have hospitals with a lot of surplus materials, things that have to be, for risk management, have to be disposed of that are perfectly good. And the folks in Moldova are very, very excited to have these assets coming in. So a couple bright stars for North Carolina.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Troxler.
Governor, we wound up a successful Got to Be NC Festival the weekend of the 20th of May. It was 3 years between festivals, so we were glad to have another one, and I think people really enjoyed it. We've been able to open poultry shows and exchanges back up after the response to high-path avian influenza. We're beginning to get checks out to the people that had agricultural damage during Tropical Storm Fred in the mountains. So hopefully we will continue this process and get these folks some help. And if I might, I'd like to do a couple shout outs. First, to my Chief Deputy, David Smith, and his wife, Pam. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary on the 28th of May. And also a shout out to my wife, Sharon. We're going to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary Friday, and David has been known as a big spender around town, and he took Pam out for a scoop of ice cream. So I'm promising Sharon that we're going to get a couple hot dogs and a soft drink and 2 scoops of ice cream. But I do thank her for 50 great years, and if you can imagine living with me for 50 years, what kind of shout out she really needs. But it has been a wonderful 50 years.
It's awesome. That's
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, with the Got to Be NC Festival being over, where are you going to get it?
There are some ice cream shops in Greensboro that we will find the appropriate ice cream, but I think vanilla is cheaper than chocolate, so we'll just get vanilla.
Treasurer Falwell.
I wish you'd gone the other direction. Anyway, so, thank you, Governor. Just, 5 very quick points. There's a video that's up, as we try to lower costs for those that teach, protect, and serve, from, Bone and Joint Surgical Center in Raleigh. And it's one of the folks that we're partnering with, to bundle, the carpentry that our state employees and public servants need from time to time. Carpentry meaning knees, elbows, and hips, generally speaking. Bundling means that people can go in and pay one price and they don't get all these separate bills from anesthesiologists, from facility fees, from doctors, from physical therapists. They know exactly what they're going to pay and provide certainty to their health care, especially as it relates to carpentry. So we're very excited about that. Secondly, this afternoon at 2:00 in the House, there's going to be a committee meeting talking about the de-weaponization of healthcare billing in North Carolina. People are being punished because of a product they would rather not consume, that being healthcare. When they try to inquire what it costs, they're told it's none of their business. And then when they don't pay their bill, they get punished and have their credit scores weaponized. So it's called the de-weaponization bill, and it's coming up at 2:00 for those of you who are truly interested in the impact that healthcare billing is having on the people of this state, especially those that teach, protect, and serve, and taxpayers like them. The reason that's important is that credit scores determine what you may pay for this. They determine what you pay for your basic liability insurance on your car. They determine if you get the benefit of the doubt on housing. They determine what your interest rate would be if you had to borrow if you wanted to borrow money to build equity in your life by buying a home. And now we're finding that credit scores actually may prevent certain people from getting certain jobs in the state. It's a serious matter when you weaponize somebody's credit score based on a product they would rather not have consumed, because that would mean they were healthy. Thirdly, I just want to recognize, I know a lot of you have interns this summer. This may be the last time that we get together, but Riley Newman is here, just graduated from North Carolina State, and is going to be attending the MBA program at North Carolina State within the next year. And Alexis Berg, who just graduated from Chapel Hill, who's going to be going to American University to law school. So I know all of you have interns across your agencies that provide a vital role. Second to last, you may have heard that our business ranking, our business certainty outlook in North Carolina has gone from number 26 to number 2 over the last 11 years. That's very important. We still stand behind Utah, and we need to have a plan for being number 1 next year. But to go from number 26 to number 2 in terms of our business outlook in the Rich State, Poor States report is vitally important. One of the components of that report has to do with regulatory reform. And everybody always says when they look at a report like this, Governor, this is about business. This is about Harris Teeter. This is about IBM or any of the other great companies across our state. Just to remind people in this room and those that are listening that the biggest business in this state is the state. The second biggest business are the school systems. The third are the counties, and the fourth are the cities. So, for example, when we were able to reform workers' comp reform about 8 or 9 years ago, we just got a report from DPI, Department of Public Instruction, where I sit on the board. And I would say that mathematically, the biggest beneficiary of workers' comp reform was the Department of Public Instruction, because they're the biggest purchaser and user of workers' comp in this state. So all these things matter. Lastly, I just want to say something to a person who has been in our building for the last 2 years. Today is her last day. Her name is Eunice Cooper. Some people refer to me around the building as T instead of treasurer, and she has redefined that as TROUBLE. So this is Eunice's picture, and I just want to tell you that Eunice has been with us for 2 years. The toughest 2 years that any of us have ever faced in a state agency. And she has been in charge of sanitizing our building. So going back to saving money, Mr. Commissioner, the fact that we didn't have any ketchup or mustard that expired in our refrigerators over the last 2 years. But for Eunice, that would not have happened. She is the one that has kept our building open since the third week of April of 2020. She's not only sanitized our building, but she's also sanitized our hearts. She's an amazing person. Those that come to the council state meetings have met her from time to time. She's moving on to Georgia to be closer to her family. And I just wanted to thank her publicly, like you have people in your organizations, these but for people, BUTFOR, but for her, we would not have been able to stay open. People would not have been comfortable with our policy the last 2 years of common sense and common courtesy. And not only has she sanitized our building, but also sanitized our hearts, but she is often seen when people needed just that extra little comment every morning and shared her wisdom as we've gone through the day. So I just wanted to mention Eunice on our council state meeting today. I know that she's going to be thoroughly embarrassed about this, and that was my hope, because she's truly going to be missed. And as I said earlier, there's lots of people like this that work in all of your state agencies that, because of what they do, they've allowed you to keep your agencies open. So I'd like to give a round of applause to Eunice today on her last day.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We have many amazing state employees across North Carolina, and thank you for recognizing Eunice. And speaking of sanitizing a room for us, I didn't see the Secretary, Eric Boyette, our DOT Secretary, was sitting back there. So I want to recognize you and thank you for letting us use this today. We now gotten to the spot where Superintendent Truitt is. Superintendent, if you wanted to make a comment or two. Is she on?
It's on.
Okay. Then we let me know if she does get on. We can come back to her. Commissioner Causey. Is he on?
He looks like he dropped.
Okay. Mr. Attorney General.
Governor, I'd like to brief you and the council state on the national opioid deal, the $26 billion that we finalized earlier this year. The week before last, the first payments were made. In the spring, there's going to be about $29 million coming to our state's counties, as well as the state government. The second payment later in the year will be $64 million. And that $93 million that will be paid this year is out of our state share of $750 million. There's a bill that Representative Sasser has in the General Assembly this summer that, if the legislature passes, will accelerate a further $72 million payable this year. So what's exciting is the funds are coming and hitting the local government's bank accounts. I've been traveling the state east to west, Piedmont, foothills, meeting with local government leaders and service providers. And there is so much excitement, there's so much planning, there's so much readiness to put this money to use to save lives. And it's pretty exciting. It's desperately needed because, as you know, we're in the deadliest moment of what is the deadliest drug epidemic in American history. And so we need these funds to get to good use.
Thank you, sir. I know it's a lot of work. Commissioner Dobson.
Thank you, Governor. Tomorrow morning, I'm attending the City of Winston-Salem's Public Safety News Conference to present the fire chief and the fire department a letter and certificate of appreciation for their handling of the Winston Weaver fire that occurred back in February. You may remember the Winston Weaver facility started burning on February 1 and quickly resulted in evacuation of all citizens within a 1-mile radius. The facility stored more than 600 tons of ammonium nitrate, posing a substantial explosion risk. For reference, the tragic West Texas disaster of 2013 occurred because of approximately 40 tons of ammonium nitrate catching fire and exploding. That accident forever changed the town and unfortunately killed 15 people and injured dozens of others. The swift actions and leadership of Winston-Salem Fire Chief Trey Mayo and the employees of the department brought calm to the citizens of the city and helped ensure a much different conclusion than the unfortunate situation in Texas. Our OSH division opened an inspection at the Weaver facility almost immediately, and we quickly developed a positive working relationship. Without assistance from the fire department, the critical information necessary for our inspection could not have been obtained. Not only did the department serve a vital role in preventing a much larger disaster, but Chief Mayo's crisis management skills also provided a much-needed leadership presence for the city's residents. So kudos to what Winston-Salem did, and particularly their fire department and Chief Mayo. Last thing, after 24 years of service to the department, William Garinger, head of our Mine and Quarry Bureau, retired from state service on May 1. William successfully led the Bureau through some of its most challenging times and left a great legacy of safety and training to the Bureau and the mining industry. I only worked with William for 1.5 years, as you all know, and just a great, great man, and I wish him well in his retirement. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, sir. Auditor Wood.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. Just a couple of things. The State Auditor's Office has finished its vision for the next 3 years, and we're going to be shifting resources from doing important audits, financial statement audits, but we're going to be shifting our resources into doing more performance audits. I'm looking for more abusive spending, wasteful spending, inefficient spending. And so I tell agency heads all the time that, you know, we are able to show you things that you may not see for years. So again, I'm just understanding that over the next 3 years, we're going to be shifting our resources to doing more performance type audits instead of financial statement audits. And secondly, I'm continuing to work with the, as a member of the Council of Internal Audit, working with the members and the staff to make better our internal audit function across state government. And so you'll see as agency heads, different reporting requirements coming up over the next year to 24 months. So be looking for that. And that information is basically for you to manage by, to understand better if your internal audit function's giving you everything it should as an agency head. So be looking for that over the next 12 to 24 months. And that's all I have this morning, Governor. Thank you.
Thanks. Senator Governor Robinson.
Our office is currently keeping abreast of the myriad of bills that are going through on the short session, including the Medicaid expansion bill, the Parents' Bill of Rights, and the bill that Treasurer Falwell mentioned. No matter what happens with those bills in this short session, we have no doubt that there are going to continue to be issues that we're going to be concerned with, and that the citizens of North Carolina are going to be concerned with. So we're doing everything that we can to stay on top of those bills, getting to know the inner workings of the bills, where they are in the process. But other than that, we don't really have anything this morning. Just glad to be here.
Great.
Governor, I'm sorry. Commissioner Causey was on the line. We just didn't unmute him quick enough for you to get to him. So.
Mr. Causey.
Thank you, Governor. Unfortunately, we had 2 more fire deaths yesterday in North Carolina, one in Cary and one in Burlington. This past Saturday, we had fire departments all across North Carolina going out into communities, installing smoke alarms at no charge. So we're still, through the Office of State Fire Marshal, encouraging everybody to check their smoke alarms. You can get these smoke detectors now with 10-year batteries, so you don't have to worry about changing the batteries all the time. But it's very important that people have working smoke detectors in their homes to prevent some of these fire deaths that we're seeing. So thank you, Governor.
Yes, sir. And we'll adjourn in memory and in honor of all state employees like Eunice, who work so hard to keep the public safe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, folks.